So I don't know how the Fourth Wing became this like bookish cultural phenomenon overnight. Hey, I'm Jessie, and today we are going to talk about books to read either if you liked Fourth Wing or if you're not super interested in it. So I have been kind of scouring the interwebs to get some information about like what is actually in Fourth Wing. Do I actually want to read this super hyped book? And honestly, I think for me personally, the answer is no. It doesn't sound to me like a Jessie book, right? For a couple reasons. It's heavier on the romance, and that's not normally my jam. A lot of people that I know that like have very similar reading taste to me didn't really vibe with it either. I did actually buy the like really pretty edition of it, but I purchased it like way before I knew there was hype to it. Like I saw it on barnesandnoble.com pre-order, thought it had cool spray edges, and saw that it was dragons, pre-ordered it. I had no idea it was going to be this like whole phenomenon. So will I read it? Possibly. Am I super hyped for it like everyone else? No. I think that actual whole hype kind of killed me. And I might do a whole video about hype and book hype and stuff like that because I'm fascinated by it, especially because I work in marketing. But I, after looking around, found that I do like a lot of the tropes that are in it. And there's a lot of things about it that called to me. So I wanted to share some books that you could either read if you liked Fourth Wing, which I think a lot of people did, and I'll kind of tell you why if you liked Fourth Wing you'd like this book, but also if you're more like me and you're like, I'm not so sure, I don't know, and I don't know because of certain aspects, but certain aspects sound really cool to me. Some of these books will actually work for you as well, I think, because this is a pretty good range of books that I just want to recommend, and I think that there's some correlation there, so let's jump into it. As always, you can find all of the books I talk about linked in my description bar, and you can find an entire blog post all about this topic and with more books linked down below as well. So the first one we're going to talk about is Crown of Feathers. I think this is a great one for you to read if you're a fan or if you're not. For one, we've got, you know, the girl that goes undercover, kind of disguising herself as a boy, to this like group of Phoenix riders to become a Phoenix rider. She's not supposed to be one. She's not supposed to be there. And she ends up being there anyway and like fighting for her place there. Of course, we don't have dragons, but we have Phoenix. So it's like real similar with the bond and things like that. So if that is an aspect that is like really interesting to you, then I think this is going to be a good one. It is a completed series as well. And I loved all 3 books in the series. So if you're interested in it because of like the dragon bond and kind of that war aspect, there is a romance in it. It's not spicy, but there is a romance in it that I actually really love. So I highly recommend this one either way. Next up, we have one that I haven't actually read yet, but I talked to a couple people that told me, Jess, this book, if you liked Fourth Wing, read it. If you like, you know, the fact that there's dragons and enemies to lovers and things like that and like political machinations, read this book. And I was like, yo, I've had so many people tell me that I had to put it in this video, and that is Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. This has dragons, and it apparently has enemies to lovers, and it has all the things that I want, and I don't think it's spicy. But honestly, for me, that's not what I'm really looking for. Like, I'm okay with a spicy book, but I don't seek them out purposefully most of the time. I'm just like, oh, okay, it's there. So that's fine. But this big old chunk of a dragon book is one that I've had so many people recommend that I just had to include it here. They can't all be wrong, right? So it's like, if you liked Fourth Wing, check out this one. If the reason you're going into Fourth Wing is because you like the enemies to lovers and the academic setting and the fact that kind of one of the characters' mothers is like high up in this academic setting. And Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir. There are no dragons, but we have an academic setting. We have one of the characters' moms who is a general at this like military school that is just ruthless, and like people die, and it's not like a fun school to be in. And we have, you know, an enemies to lovers, because we have Laia, who is of a scholar race, and then we have Elias, who is a marshal, and, you know, they're supposed to hate each other, and like the marshals are the ruling class, and the scholars are like the slaves, and she, you know, while she doesn't go to the school, she is there undercover for the rebellion as a, you know, as a slave. And this is so good. And a lot of the aspects that I heard talked about, like the academia and, you know, that kind of like ruthless school. And it just kind of called to me, and I'm like, yo, that's a lot like Ember in the Ashes. And again, this is a completed series. So pick it up. Sticking on the if enemies to lovers romance is your jam with some forced proximity. And maybe, I don't know if this is in Fourth Wing, but some unexpected forbidden magic powers that people didn't know we had. Check out Air Awakens series by Elise Kova. This is one of my favorite self-published romance fantasies. Again, not spicy, it's Fade to Black, but it is heavy on the romance. So this is a fantasy romance, but it's not spicy. But I love the romance in it. We're following Vala, who is like a library assistant at the palace, and then she saves the prince one day. But he's the dark, brooding, angry prince that nobody likes. But it binds her to him. And then it awakens powers that she didn't even know she had. And they are in this like enemies to training, to lovers, to enemies, to forbidden love, to forbidden magic. And it is so good. And again, this is a completed series. It's a 5-book series, but they're really short. There's like sequel series in this world, and they're all super good. All right, now if you're like me and you wanted to go into Fourth Wing because dragons are your jam, Bright Star by Erin Swan. This is a YA fantasy standalone with a romance and dragons. Lots and lots of dragons. Dragon Riders, Dragon Rider War, and it is so good. And it's got like that unassuming protagonist, right? It's got the one that no one thinks is the badass and stuff like that until she is. I highly recommend this. It was a really fun YA standalone with dragons. And finally, we have the creme of the creme. If you like dragons, enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, should be enemies to lovers. Academic setting, war, rebellion, crappy family dynamics. Fireborn by Rosario Munda. This is like the dragon book. It is also a completed series. So I really feel like this is one that should have so much more love. And it's funny because I saw Rosario Munda post on her Instagram the other day about, she's like, I don't know why, but Fireborn is like rising in the sales again. And I thought about it when I saw that, and that's what inspired me to kind of make this video and make the blog post. I think it is because of the popularity of Fourth Wing, and because it is sold out everywhere and people can't get their hands on it and they want to read it. So they're looking for things that are like it. And I'm pretty sure this fits the bill perfectly. And that has to be part of the reason, right? Like it makes sense timing wise. I mean, we have Dragon Riders, we have an academic setting, we have a lost heir, we have shitty parents, dead parents, a rebellion, we have a lot of politics, a Dragon Rider war, like we have everything. And this is just such a good series. I highly recommend it. So if you're like me and you're either like not too sure about reading it, or if you've loved it and you're waiting for book 2 and you just need something else to fill that void, try some of these books out, because I really think that these could go either way and a lot of people would love them based on the things that I've heard about Fourth Wing itself. If you want more of these recommendations, you can check out the blog post that's linked below. As always, all of these books are going to be linked for you, so you can easily check them out. And let me know your thoughts on Fourth Wing, the hype, any books that you recommend that are like Fourth Wing but better, or, you know, if you liked it, read this, because I'm interested in the, you know, the dragons and the enemies to lovers and stuff like that. I'm just not sure if the story itself is for me, but we'll see. All right. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with me. My name is Jessie and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.